Let's talk a little Marlins with Valley Sports Florida Marlins analyst, former Marlins All-Star, Gaby Sanchez, joining us here on the Toyota of Hollywood guest line. Shop with 1,500 Toyotas indoors and one of America's largest showrooms at Toyota of Hollywood on 441 between Hollywood and Sheridan. Good morning, Gaby. Thanks for the time, man. Really appreciate it.
Good morning. Yeah, thanks for having me. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's great to have you. Hey, before we get into some Marlins, as a former Cane yourself, how much did you enjoy the Final Four run?
It was probably the first time that I actually watched the college basketball. Like, I've seen a couple games, but it was the first time that I actually sat down on the TV, told the wife, like, hey, listen, we got to get home so we could watch this. So it was a lot of fun. It was a nice run by those fellas.
I'm sure that had to so that was like you hopping on the bandwagon, like your first time, like do you get rabid with the football, or is just like this was just a or are you always kind of just on the outside as far as being just a passionate fan is concerned?
I mean, with the basketball, absolutely 100% bandwagon jumping on. I mean, it's my school, so I always root for them. But
you can't get accused. You can't get accused of jumping on the bandwagon if you went to that school.
Oh, perfect.
You can't. No chance.
I follow it. I look at it, but to actually sit down and watch a game, really haven't done it. Football, I do. And football, about 5 games in, then all of a sudden you're like, are you kidding me? This again? You know, come on, man. So definitely been there.
Gaby, I would love this team to get off to a fast start. I did like a lot of the changes they made. I got the Goosies this weekend with the teal uniforms. I love that. The win opening day was fun. It was a great atmosphere. But here we sit, 1-4. You know, things feel like they're already unraveling. But it's a long-ass season, man. You've been through this. When it's this early in the season, how much are you feeling it in the locker room? Are you just saying, like, look, we got plenty of time to get things right? What is the mindset of the players at this point? Only 5 games into the season, but it really just hasn't gone their way.
You know, it's one of those tough things because when you look at the team, what they needed to do from last year, right? Hey, we need to get on base. We need guys to get hits. So you go out, you trade Pablo Lopez, you get Luis Ariz, and that's what he has been doing. I mean, he's been doing nothing but just hitting and getting on base. And then you look at yesterday's game, they out-hit the Twins. But you're right in your earlier, they just have not gotten that big hit to get those guys across. And it can take just one guy to get that one big hit to just kind of take the monkey off of the guy's back of that pressure of trying to be the guy to get that big hit. Once I think they do it, you kind of put guys at a little bit more ease and relax, and then the guys will start scoring some runs. But they're at least getting on base. There's chances for the team to score runs, just haven't done it. I looked at something yesterday. It was like power rankings, like official power rankings. Mets are number 1 in that power ranking. The Twins were number 3. So you're playing against 2 of the top 3 teams in baseball right now, the way that they've been swinging the bat and the way that they've been playing. So right now they're just kind of running into some juggernauts early on.
Well, Gaby, isn't this like, it's kind of like bad luck because last year we complained about everybody striking out, nobody putting the ball in play, everybody, just swinging for home runs. And this year you have guys who are making contact, who are hitting the ball, putting the ball in play, but they're hitting it right to people and getting double plays. Is it just bad luck, or eventually those hits will start going through the infield?
Well, one of the things is you definitely want the guys to be putting the ball in play rather than just striking out. You'll take your chances. At some point, those balls are going to find holes. They're not going to just consistently be going at guys. So that is one thing that you definitely do like. For me, it's when guys are in scoring position, guys on third with less than 2, those are the ones that you can't strike out. So it's like picking and choosing the times of when it's okay to strike out and when it's okay to kind of, just don't put the ball in play. And then there's times where like, hey, listen, there's man on third or second and third with no outs or 1 out. Let's just get 1. Don't try to get the big hit. Just get 1 across. And I think that's kind of where they're at this point, where when you have guys in that scoring position, they're trying to get the big hit rather than just getting what the defense is giving you. Put the ball in play, get that run across.
Talking to Gaby Sanchez, you guys can watch his coverage on Valley Sports Florida. Doing a great job covering the Marlins. Gaby, one of the big moves going into this year, Jazz Chisholm volunteered to move on over to center field. looked like a bit of an adventure so far, which I guess is understandable. What have you thought about Jazz's transition to to the outfield, and like how long before you feel like he'll be comfortable out there?
It's going to take some time, but he does have a guy in John Jay, who, in my opinion, was one of the better center fielders that I've seen in route running. Being able to get that first step. Jazz athletically can play anywhere on the field. Everybody knows that. Center field is not an easy position. It's not something that you can just go into spring training and say, I'm here, I'm going to do it. I can be the best center fielder in baseball. Mentally, that's kind of what the thought process is. Oh, I can do it. But there's a lot of intricacies that come into center field play. When to go after a ball, how to judge your route angles. Those are going to take time, and that's going to be game play. So there's going to be some early hiccups that you're going to see, but hopefully with time and having a guy like John Jay on your side, looking at video, hey, on this ball, instead of doing this, maybe doing this and not making the same mistake twice. I think it will happen, but it's going to take some time.
Is it a situation where Jazz is so athletic that he sometimes thinks he can get to every ball and goes after it, and he needs to know when he can and when he can't? Because I see him not taking like bad angles, but taking angles that he think he can get to the ball, and then he short hops himself and it rolls to the fence or to the wall.
It really is that double-edged sword, right? Where he is fast enough, he is athletic enough to be able to know that he can make every play. And that's the thing. He knows that, I can get there. The problem is that he hasn't had enough reps in the outfield yet to really understand, hey, you know what? If I would have just taken a step, back rather than kind of go straight at it, I probably would have given myself a better chance to make that play. Those are the things that the only way that you can learn is by doing. So he'll make mistakes early on because of the speed. He's going to make up and catch balls because of the speed. He can drop step on balls that he needs to come in on, and it's not going to really worry because his speed will end up catching up for him and he'll be fine. It's the line drives that you can see where he's having trouble with, of judging where that ball is going to be. And, hey, am I fast enough to be able to get there? Or should I have just taken an extra step, get it on a long hop, get the ball in rather than trying to dive and make a play and the ball gets to the defense?
How much of this is understanding the situation in the game too? Hey, I can give up a single here, but I can't let this ball go to the wall. So I need to play a little more reserved because we're still in this, and giving up a hit is not going to kill us.
That's the hard part, I think, for Jazz, because he is a guy that wants to make every play. Right. He wants to make those highlight plays. He wants to make those diving plays. So whenever he can, he's going to try to make it. And you're right. It's getting in those situations where you're in center field knowing, okay, hey, listen, there's a guy on first. We're up 2-1. If this line drive gets hit in this situation, instead of me trying to dive and catch it, if that ball gets to the back, now that runner scores, the other one gets into scoring position. Let me back off a little bit, maybe get that ball into second, keep runners on first and third. Defense still has a chance for a double play to get out of it. And I think those are kind of the things that he will learn. He knows them, but physically he knows that he could probably get the ball, so he wants to. He wants to make that, fantastic play. And I think that's where kind of you have to pull the reins a little bit. And I think John Jay definitely has talked to him. And, hey, certain situations it's okay to maybe do that. And then on some, you got to just reel it back a little bit and just get the ball in.
Talking to Gaby Sanchez again. You guys can watch him on Bally Sports Florida, one of your Marlins analysts. They do a fantastic job. Marlins and Twins continue their series night. Sandy Alcantara is on the hill. You're a very good hitter, Gaby Sanchez. You watch Sandy Alcantara. What makes him special? What would you have hated going against with stepping in the box against a guy like Sandy?
Well, later on in my career, I was glad that I was more of a platoon guy with lefties only, because I wouldn't have had to face him, because that guy's nasty. There's not much you can say when a guy's on the mound throwing 97 to 100-mile-an-hour sinkers in on the hands, and then is able to throw a changeup at 92, 93 that moves about 1.5 feet, and then he's got a slider that moves the other way. He's just really impressive, and he's just getting better. And that's the thing that people don't realize He's still young. He's still learning how to pitch. Even though he was a Cy Young winner last year, he's still realizing like how to strike guys out now more than just letting balls get put in play. Because he's a guy that goes up there and he's going to get soft contact because of his stuff. And now he's starting to realize, okay, well, if I have these kind of sequences and I'm able to move the ball around, with certain guys, or maybe a fastball up in the zone to follow it up with the changeup down and in, and then I go with the slider down and away, back to a fastball up. Those are the intricacies that he's starting to learn now, and it's just making him even better. But what he has is just it's firepower coming out of that right arm. It really is. He's nasty.
Gabby, we talk about Jazz and having to learn how to play the position or just be more consistent at it with his angles and stuff like that. I watched a few games this week, and it seems like pitchers are trying to find out how much of the plate they can get, and it kind of happened with Sandy early in the game last week. Is that he was getting a lot of balls close to the plate, but he wasn't getting those calls and ended up behind a lot of hitters. Does that happen also with pitchers early in the season?
Yeah, it's early, and you have those jitters of starting off. It's the first start of the year. They with pitchers just like hitters, you try to do a little bit, maybe too much. You have all these expectations going in, so you're not as crisp. You're not really throwing the way that he knows he can throw, because he's a guy that just fills up the zone, and he goes out there and it's a whole bunch of strikes. Good luck trying to hit this sinker that's coming in on your hands. You're going to have to cheat to get to it. When I see you cheating, I'm going to go this. That's kind of like what he does. He gets ahead early. He's able to expand off the zone later in the AB. But if you start off the zone, then all of a sudden guys are just sitting up there and they're big league hitters. You know if the fastball's coming, I'm going to cheat to it. I don't care if you're throwing 97. I can get my hands in there.
They got Pablo Lopez they're going to be facing tomorrow. When you went up against a former teammate, was that weird? Is it advantage, disadvantage? Like who gets usually the play there? Like what was that like when you would go up against a guy who was very good? You were teammates with him for a while.
I mean, you have to think that pitchers are going to always have the advantage because hitting is so hard. You go 3 for 10 and you're a Hall of Famer. He's getting 3 hits and 10 at bats. So you would have to give the edge to a pitcher who kind of knows the guys, knows what they're looking for, understands probably what their deficiencies are as a hitter and how to set guys up. But it's fun when you're going up against your old team, and especially if you're able to put it on them. What's really going to be fun is that you got Luzardo going up against Pablo Lopez. So the number 2 starter this year for the Marlins going up against the number 2 starter for the Marlins last year, like mano to mano. That should be a really fun game to watch and be a part of, because those two guys are going out there to prove something. Luzardo started off his season looking really good. Pablo, the same thing. So it's going to be a fun series.
You remember, like, who was the guy that came to mind when you thought about former teammate you put it on? Like, there had to be one that, like, I saw a little twinkle in the eye there. Like, was there like a little head nod when you're rounding the bases and you got a Jimmy Jack on him?
You know what? Didn't get a home run against you know what? That's not true. Logan Kinsing was a teammate of mine in 2008 when I first got called up, and my first home run in the big leagues was against him. So that one was kind of fun. that one was fun just because he was a cool guy. Like talking with him when I first got called up. So that one definitely is a little mark. But when I got traded over to the Pirates and I was playing against the Marlins, I didn't hit home runs against them. Did get some hits, but it's just you're going up there. You know the guys. You've played against them. You know what they want to do against you. And you're just kind of like trying to get them out of their own game. And it's that little chess match that's, I think, makes it even more fun than anything else.
For a guy who said, hold on, let me think, you spit out those stories quite accurately.
We appreciate the time, Gaby. Catch Gaby's coverage on Bally Sports Florida. Marlins taking on the Twins. They continue their series tonight, 6:40, Sandman on the Hill. Check that on out. Thanks for the time, Gaby. Really appreciate it.
Thank you guys for having me.